By the way, I didn't mean for us to not clap then. So would you join me in thanking the choir and our guest vocalists and musicians once again. To God. And so I'm going to try to follow that, if you will. And I don't know if you caught it or not, but at the very end of the cantata, the narration that John Werner wonderfully provided for us this morning said this: "Celebrate the great news of a miraculous Christmas night. Invite Christ to be born anew in your heart." Now, to me, that pretty much says it all, right? Every day, every Christmas, in fact, every day, the quality of our life might actually depend on how much or how well, through prayer and meditation, we consciously invite Christ to be born anew in our hearts. Now, that said, I don't know about you, but I don't have any trouble saying this morning that sometimes life can be, and I find life to be, just a little bit stressful. I mean, none of us here this morning are stressed or worried at all about all of the things that we still have yet to do over the next 72 hours in order to get ready for Christmas, right? All of us are just going to sit back and relax after this worship service for the next couple of days. Of course, that's just the tip of the iceberg. None of us are worried or stressed at all about that pain in the neck family member that we're going to have to deal with over the holidays, right? And certainly none of us are concerned or stressed at all about the mundane things of money and our jobs, or how we're going to balance family and work, especially around the holidays, or the state of our health, or the state of the health of some of our loved ones, or the state of the world for that matter. We're just all sort of walking around every day, footloose and fancy-free, right? Well, of course we're not. And depending on any given day, these stresses, these very real stresses in life, can threaten to get the best of us. And yet, at the same time, we're all very well aware of the fact that there are lots of people out there who are way worse off than we are, right? And lots of people out there whose stresses are way worse than ours are. Stresses that are actually, in some cases, as we know, life-threatening. Stresses like starvation and famine and abject poverty, or imagine living somewhere in the world today in a literal war zone. And yet, the great good news of Christmas is that no matter the stress, no matter how big or small the stress, no matter how much it might get the best of us or how it might be, in some cases, life-threatening, Emmanuel, God is with us. And with God, all things are possible. And miracles happen yet today, and hope springs eternal, and the light ever shines through the darkness. Think about with me for a few moments the Christmas story for Joseph, who is the one, and Pastor Debbie had such a wonderful kids message with the kids today. But Joseph is the one who Matthew focuses on in our scripture. You remember that Luke actually focuses more on Mary in his Christmas story, but Matthew focuses more on Joseph. And did Joseph have some stress in his life, or what? He was, after all, a Jewish tradesman in Roman-occupied Israel, a militarized zone, if you will, in the first century, which meant, therefore, that he was not only a low-class citizen, he wasn't even considered to be a Roman citizen, even though we know that he sadly still had to pay taxes in those days. The station, the stresses of the station in his life in that time and place, can you imagine? Far greater than the stresses and pressures that goodly many of us have ever experienced in life. And then on top of that, as we know, he was engaged to be married to this young woman, Mary, who was pregnant, and he obviously knew that he wasn't the father. Talk about a little bit of stress, especially in those days. And according to the law, what Joseph knew is that he was supposed to publicly divorce and disgrace her on the grounds of infidelity while they were engaged, and that he was supposed to do that publicly would put her in very grave danger. The penalty for infidelity while being engaged in those days was nothing less than public stoning to death. And so, because Joseph loved Mary, he actually decided to go around the law a little bit. And he decided instead to not publicly divorce her, but to quietly and privately divorce her, thinking that if nobody knew that they were divorced, then they wouldn't have any grounds to accuse her of infidelity, and therefore she would be saved. But even that decision for Joseph, he must have been wrestling with a little bit, must have pricked his conscience a little bit, because as we know, he went to sleep, and God often works in our minds and our hearts when we're sleeping and dreaming, right? And he went to sleep that night, and an angel of the Lord came to him and told him to not be afraid to take Mary as his wife, and that the baby that she was carrying was sent straight from the very heart of God. And not only that, furthermore, this baby would grow up to be a real life saver. And so Joseph then woke up from his sleep with this very real sense that whatever had happened to Mary or with Mary along the way, God was obviously telling him to nonetheless still be her husband and nonetheless still be the father of her child, which, as we thankfully know, Joseph ultimately did not hesitate at all to do. But think about the stress and the pressure that Joseph underwent before he came to the place of being the beloved husband and father that he ultimately turned out to be. And then, of course, think about the stress for Mary, as she was completely at the mercy of whatever decisions Joseph made along the way. Think about the fear that she had to overcome in that situation. Think about the trust that she had to place not only in Joseph, but also in God as well. And yet, thanks be to God, what we know is that together, Joseph and Mary opened up their hearts to trust in that somehow, some way, God would make a way. They kept this little tiny sliver of hope in their hearts in what was otherwise a completely hopeless situation. And because they did, God used them to literally change the world forever. The great good news of Christmas is that no matter the very real stresses of Joseph and Mary so long ago, the very real stresses that we live with and are pressured with in our daily lives, Emmanuel, God is with us, and with God all things are possible. Miracles happen, hope springs eternal, and the light always and ever shines through the darkness. But the invitation of the cantata is that we have to do our part, right? We have to consciously In the midst of the stresses and pressures that we're experiencing, we have to consciously invite Christ to be born anew in our hearts. We have to, through prayer and meditation and conscious awareness, ask God to help us trust that God can always make a way, to help us trust that no matter how stressful life may be for us at any given time, God, through the tiniest light, can always make a way. To trust that no matter how dark and stressful this world of ours can be at times, God, through the tiniest light, like this babe born in Bethlehem so long ago, can always make a way and is always making everything new. Emmanuel, God is with us. With God, all things are possible. Miracles yet happen. Hope springs eternal. The light ever shines through the darkness. So may we always, each and every day, this Christmas, each and every day, invite Christ to be born anew in our hearts. May we always keep a little sliver of hope alive in our hearts. I know that I feel if Joseph and Mary could do that in the face of what they were experiencing so long ago, I can do that in the face of what I'm experiencing in my life.